Hello, 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 and welcome to Authors, Writers, and Wannabes. Today is Monday, March 2nd. It is 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I have with me Seth Goodman. We're going to talk about him being a wannabe, him being a writer, and him now being a published author. So now I'm going to hand it over to you, Seth.
Alrighty. Well, welcome everybody. I'm glad to be here. So, my debut novel came out last August. It's been a long road. I got my start as a newspaper columnist, which is a big jump to a novelist. Spent a lot of years as a food and drink writer. Was the wine columnist for Morris News Service for quite some time. Sounds glamorous, but it's not. It's one of the
It
least
does sound
lucrative.
glamorous.
Oh, it does. I mean, you're like, oh, I'm nationally syndicated, and
Yeah.
but the pay is extremely minimal, and you might feel like you're a little famous because people are sitting in different cities and reading your column about wine, but at the end of the day, it doesn't pay the bills, and I've always had a day job, and anyway, I've just always had that knack for writing. My wife's always been like, write your book. And I was always like, what? I don't have your book. I don't know how to do that. And so finally, when COVID kind of around that time, I had tried a couple of times. I have a couple of, we all have our shelved novels that, we
Right.
tried when we thought we knew what we were doing and we didn't. And I don't know, when COVID came and indications were that I was going to be stuck in my house for the foreseeable future and all that. I was like, maybe it's time to do this thing. And stuff happened, and
So
eventually,
you're saying around 2020, that's when COVID came. So around
yeah,
2020, you
yeah,
decided you were going to write this book.
yeah, or at least give it
So,
a try.
so was that the first time that you thought about writing this book?
I have thought about an incident that happened for decades.
Uh-huh.
An incident that lived rent free in my head for a very long time. I never really put the idea of it into I could make this a book until around that time, and then once I did, it just went. Um,
Okay.
I tell people that For a Lark is my Athena because I feel like it sprang fully formed from my head,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things when it's been living up there for that long, and then you decide, okay, I'm gonna put this down on the page. It just spilled
Right.
out.
So you said that your wife
Mhm.
asked you about writing the book.
Yeah, yeah.
So you had told her what a while ago that you wanted to write a book.
Oh no, she's just always known that I had a talent for writing, and she's always been like, "You should write a book. You should be an author. You should, And I was
Okay.
always like, "Nah, nah, I don't know how. I don't know how to do that."
Yeah.
Um, so she just,
So 20
kind of.
so 2020 you started pen and paper. Or did you do typewriter? Did you do laptop?
I
Or
did
did you
both. It
you
was a
did both?
combination of both. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was, you have those wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a scene in your head, and you just grab a
Yes.
notebook and you just write furiously, and then try
Yes.
to type it later. And then there's times when you're sitting down like, okay, I'm doing this like a professional writer. So yeah, there's a lot of both. Sometimes it was talking into my phone,
Yeah.
downloading one of those apps where you're out somewhere and they think you're crazy because you walk over and you're like talking to yourself in your phone, but it's like I don't want to forget this. Yeah.
All right, so you were that type that you did it all. You wrote, you typed, and you spoke.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever it took.
whatever it took. Yeah. So when I wrote my first book, when I was in the beginning stage, I had stuff everywhere. I had stuff in my laptop. I had stuff, in my desk that I had written down. I had stuff in a shoebox that
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
want anybody to see because I'm writing a memoir, right? I don't want,
Yeah.
my family to see what I'm writing until,
Yep.
it's almost published. So yeah, I had stuff everywhere. And I even lost 3 chapters and had to go back and rewrite those chapters.
I feel that there was a scene that I know I wrote one night. I know I wrote it. I know it was like powerful and
Yeah.
real and emotional, and I couldn't find it. I don't know. It just disappeared off the face of the earth, and I never found it. So I just had to try to rewrite it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what happens when you're
I was like,
when you're
where
in
is
that
it? I
writing
know I wrote
stage.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So okay, we're talking about this book, but we haven't
Mm-hmm.
named this book, right?
Right. Yes. Uh-huh.
So this book is
Yeah.
called For a Lark, right?
Yes.
And
Correct. Mm-hmm.
tell the audience what For a Lark means and where you went about finding this. Okay.
Okay. Well, here's my cover, and you see an image of a young woman on the cover from behind, and so.
You're gonna have to send me a copy.
Oh, I intend to. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so I I don't know where to start. So all right. When I was young, I was a manager of a pizza joint on Scottsdale Road in Scottsdale, Arizona. And we were like the adjacent wall was a gentleman's club. And
Okay.
so like literally I'm standing there making pizza and there's exotic dancers, just mere feet on the other side. But there was no overlap, none whatsoever. They kept it completely to theirs. We kept it completely to ours. And so one night,
Did you hear the
it's
music? Could you hear the music
only
all the time?
only after we were like the exhaust fans and everything were so loud they drowned it out. And then like
Okay.
late at night when I was closing and I was doing the till and everything and I shut everything down, then you'd hear a thump thump thump, yeah, come through
Okay.
and that. But other than that, yeah. And so it's after close. I'm getting ready. We're cleaning the store and I hear the cowbell ring, and these two women come kind of stumbling in, tipsy, all being all silly and everything. And I didn't put it together for a while. They were like, I was like, I'm sorry, we're closed. And they're like, but we're hungry. I was like, sorry, everything's shut down for the night. Can't help you. And one of them was a tall blonde who looked exactly like what you would expect an exotic dancer to look like. The other was this
With big
really,
boobs? Are you saying with big boobs?
yeah, big, too much everything. I would say, yeah, too much hair, too much cleavage, too much makeup, too much legs, too much all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you know, um, but the other one was this petite, kind of looked like she was mixed. Oh, by the way, my cat's probably gonna, my
I
cat's gonna say,
see. It's okay.
yeah. Um, and she was trying to yuck it up and be the fun party girl and had all the glitter and the makeup and all this stuff. But she had this sadness in her eyes that was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I mean, she just had this depth of sadness that was just, it haunted me. I mean, she lived rent free in my life for like just years. I mean, it was like a 5-minute experience, but I never forgot. I mean, I remember what she said to me. I remember what her voice sounded like, but I just remembered that sadness. And so I don't know, when COVID hit, I just thought, well, I'm gonna try to tell her story. And so that's what For a Lark came.
So the book is about a stripper with a sad story.
Yeah, it's about a lot more than that. but yes, it centers around a fictional gentleman's club in Scottsdale, Arizona, that is located not on the other side of the wall, but in close proximity to a fictional pizza and sub joint. And so Lark is that's her stage name, that's her dancing name. Exotic dancers don't use their real names, and she her life.
Why Lark? Why Lark?
Oh, that was just her name. That's just what I got.
That was just the name that you made up for her, huh?
That was the name I got. There was a lot of weird things that happened when I was writing this book. I mean, I did the thing that most authors do. I would Google like baby names and stuff, and scroll through. But I don't know. Some of the characters, I knew their names, and I knew her name. Her name was Melody Larkness, and she went by Lark as a dancer.
Gotcha.
I just knew that. And so I don't know where that came from. I didn't even know that was a thing. I even looked it up to see, like, is that actually a real last name, or is that even like a thing? And it was kind of wild, the stuff I found. I've actually got a quote in there later in the book that comes from the Urban Dictionary that talks about Larkness, and it's spot on. It's just there's so many weird things like that. But
Okay.
anyway, yeah, she becomes. It wasn't supposed to be. So, all right, can I tell myself? Can
Oh
we just
yeah, sure.
here? So when I started this, when I conceived of this book, it was supposed to be a love triangle, and
Uh,
the guy, the manager of the pizza joint, he was supposed to be the main character. Okay, he's not me, by the way. Everybody's like, "Oh,
oh.
that's you." No, that's not me. It was supposed to be him and a love triangle, but Lark, just her character was so compelling and just so powerful that as the writing went, I just ended up scrapping a lot of that. And then things happened, and I was like, oh, no, they are not. And I was like, oh, yes, they are. And so, yeah, it was never supposed to be what it turned out to be.
So
But the
did you
characters
start
took
when
over.
you started writing this book? Did you know the ending to it?
Yeah, well, I knew an ending to it, but it's not the ending that ended up being the ending.
Gotcha.
So
And that's
I
what happens.
thought,
That happens a lot.
yeah, I thought Lark was going to be the catalyst. I
Okay.
thought that Romeo and his highbrow Scottsdale girlfriend needed a wake up call in their life and needed something to shake them up and cause them to re examine their priorities. And I thought Lark was going to be the catalyst who was going to come into Romeo's life and was going to cause both of them to. And that's not what happened at all.
That's not what happened.
At
Well,
all.
that's what
No,
happens
Romeo
when authors when we
Romeo
start
changed a
writing.
lot. And Lark crashed into his life, but yeah, not in the way I ever imagined.
Now you know what? My stripper name was Carmen. I used to be a stripper.
Okay. Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah, but it was a lot of daisies. It was a lot of melody and stuff like that. I've
Mhm.
never heard of the
Oh yeah.
lark.
Yeah,
Lark
we
is
have
kind of cool.
Iris and Jade and Diamond and Pearl
Oh
and
yeah,
Candy
diamond. It was a lot of
and all them.
diamonds.
Oh yeah, all them are in the book. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
how many strippers are in the book? You
A
can't tell
lot.
the whole book, but
A
how
lot.
many
No,
strippers
I
are?
won't. I won't give any like really huge spoilers. Well, so the thing is, it's a multi POV. Um,
Uh-huh. And
and
explain
so
what POV is.
yeah. POV is point of view, and it's the whatever character's head you're in, or whoever the story is in the perspective of. So, for the viewers or whatever. Yeah, a lot of books are single POV, so there's just the main character, and it's just their story. And sometimes they're written in first person, so you read the book and it's like I did this and I did that, or sometimes they're in third person and it's like she did this and she did that.
Yeah.
Um, so, and then dual POVs, most people are fairly familiar with, because especially in YA, there's a lot of dual POV books where every other chapter is like him, her, him, her, him, her, and it
Yeah.
goes back and forth. But if you're familiar with a lot of the multi POV books, and especially like the Celtic, like the Scottish and the Irish writers, a lot of times there's all kind of characters who have voices in it. And so one of the themes in my book is that you have all these people who are unrelated, don't know each other, but are brought together by whatever circumstances, and then through that they affect one another. And so I don't know how many strippers there are that are actually named characters. Probably about a dozen.
Okay.
The only ones that you actually really get to know very well of the dancers is Lark and Candy, her roommate, and then Coco, who becomes important. Um, but then you have POVs of Romeo. He's the male love interest, the manager. You have Benny, who owns the club. He's an old Sicilian from New York City. Um, just he's one of the most lovable characters in the book. Everybody loves Benny.
Now, do you have the DJ in there? You have to have the DJ
Oh
in
yeah,
there.
oh yeah. There's DJs, of
Okay.
course. You can't
Okay.
have a club without DJs. And then Jerome is well, he's the bouncer initially, but then he ends up becoming Benny's business partner, and everybody loves Jerome. He's the former football player, big, tough, imposing guy, but really has a heart of
Oh, I
gold.
can't
And
read this book. Yeah, please send me a copy. So,
I will.
um,
I will. People
who's
love the
your?
characters.
Yeah, it seems like it's very interesting. I'm currently writing a romance novel,
Okay.
and it's I don't know if I told you yesterday when you and I talked, but it's erotic. I'm sure
Yeah,
yours
you
sound a
did.
little bit
You did.
erotic
Uh-huh.
too.
You did.
Yeah,
So here's the thing. I mean, if this was a movie, if they made a movie of For Lark, it would definitely be a hard R. I mean, for
yeah,
sure. But
yeah.
actually, honestly, as a book, it's fairly low spice. I mean, it's fade to black, and so there's a lot of nudity, there's a lot of stuff, but it's not in any way erotica or like, so for the people that want to read Sarah J. Maas and everybody's doing it, every other page or whatever, you're not going to like For a Lark. But
Okay.
if you want all the tension and the suspense and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
characters and the will they won't they and the slow burn and the all that,
yeah,
and then there's a villain, there's a bad guy, it's a romantic suspense. So there's a
yeah,
floor
yeah.
manager who kind of becomes obsessed with Lark in a dangerous way, and
Uh-oh.
so she
That
doesn't
sounds like
know.
a movie.
Yeah, and thank you, because
It sounds
everybody
like a
says it.
movie.
Everybody that like beta reads and that says that's got to be like on Netflix, or that's got to be adapted for
Yeah.
film, and it
So
is
so
a
this
very
book is
visual book.
traditionally published, correct?
Mhm. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So Seth has an agent, correct? Or
Yes.
had one?
I
You have
do.
an
I
agent.
didn't at the time. My agent wasn't involved. I was unagented at the time, and then I got an agent later.
So you directly contacted your publishing company yourself, or did they
So
reach out to you?
what happened is I went the querying route, that everybody goes, and you get the, dozens or hundreds or whatever of rejections, and you spend all that time going, I suck as a writer and everything, but you realize that's just
Now,
all part of it.
most publishing companies won't allow the
Right.
author to directly contact them. So this publishing
Right.
company did?
So the only ones that generally do are small independent publishers. So after a while, I began researching, and I just thought, okay, maybe forget this agent thing. So I researched publishing companies that do accept direct submissions, and I made a little bit of progress there. In fact, I almost got a deal with a fairly significant publisher here in the U.S. It went all the way to the acquisitions manager before she was the one that killed it. And it hurt, but she was the first one that actually gave me actionable feedback. I mean, she spelled out exactly, these are the reasons why we're not going to acquire your book. And I licked my wounds for a while, and I thought, I can address that. I
Now,
can
could you
fix
have
those.
made some changes for them to acquire it?
I did. Yeah, I did. I did a revise. I had an editor that was kind of fighting for it. And she
Okay.
kept being like, hey, be patient, hang in there. We're still working on it. And so I reached out at one point and said, what if I do an R&R? Would you be? Yeah, definitely. And, so we did all that. And like I said, it was finally when it was the money lady who was like, we're just not going to do it.
Oh.
But I took all that to heart, and I kind of took the book apart, kind of deconstructed it, put it back together.
How long did that take?
Months. It took a while, months. And then at that point, I began to submit it to some of these small independent publishing houses. And I got a couple of crappy offers. I mean, they were offers that sucked. They were either like vanity publishers, or, it was just, there were red flags and things where I was like, no. And
Yeah.
I think I told you when we talked, it was a pitch event on Twitter. I submitted to PitMad, and this was in 2021 PitMad, I guess. And, you could do your 3 pitches, and I did. And this small publisher, they were called Saga Fiction at the time. They contacted me, said, could you send us a few chapters? We're interested. I did. And then it turned into a full request. Can you send us the whole manuscript? And I did. And then it turned into the Zoom call where, she said the words that changed everything, said, I loved For a Lark and I want to commission it. And
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
yeah.
So you say you started writing the book in 2020. Now, when was it released?
It was so this is how publishing can work. It was released in August of 2025. I signed the book deal in, I think it was March of 2022.
Really?
And so, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
So it took 3 years for it to be published?
Yes.
Is it common? Is that common?
Apparently, from what I've been told, that anything less than 2 years is pretty much a miracle. and that like 2 to 3 is pretty standard, and that it can be more. Which
Really?
I don't know what they do for that time. I was like,
Right. What do you do for 3 years? You've got the
you
manuscript, you've
you
edited
know
it,
it,
right? So
it's
did you have any say so in the cover?
yeah, I did. I had to say so in pretty much everything, which is cool. That's one of the things that I do really appreciate about having a small press.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about having a small indie press. It's a double-edged sword. There's the drawbacks, obviously. They don't have the budget, they don't have the distribution, they all
Right.
that. I would love for them to put my book in all these stores, and they can't. But on the other hand, with some of the big fives in that, once you sign it over to them, it's theirs, and they can do whatever they want. They can change the title, they can change the ending, they can, they can do whatever. And
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
it's their book now. And so Four Lark's always been my book. So we've always worked in partnership through all the different rounds of editing, the structural editor and all the things. And yeah, so I sent them some little mock-ups of ideas of kind of what I imagine the cover to be. And then they came back to me with their ideas of some different proofs, like here's some concepts. What do you think? And then we, just went back and forth and narrowed it down. And I don't know, this one, just when this one came out, my wife and I were just like, oh yeah, that's the one. I mean, this one was just perfect. I mean, she looks exactly like what Lark would look like. Her hair's not quite long enough, but other than that,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's
You're
just.
not going to make a big deal about the hair, are you?
Oh no! This is great. No, this cover is amazing. It's in the background. I don't know if you can really see this. So she's looking towards, and you can see kind of the desert landscape, and then the mountains in the back. And if you've ever been to the Phoenix and Scottsdale area, it's called the Valley of the Sun, and it's set in mountains like that. And it's showing like her journey, is taking her, like it's uncertain like what's going to happen and where she's going, but she's on her way. And and she's obviously a person of color, but kind of indistinct, as far as you can't really tell. So
yeah,
no,
she
I love
got
it.
just a tan on her. She looks like she has a tan.
Yeah. I mean, so she could be Latina, she could be mixed, she could be. Now the actual character's mixed, but yeah.
You should have named her Carmen. See, I'm mixing. My stripper name was Carmen. I could have been in that book.
I
Hey,
didn't
maybe
know.
I could play her role when it comes out in the movie.
There you go. Yeah, if they're looking for somebody to.
I think I still got a little bit of stripper moves left.
Yeah, you can still shake it, huh?
All right. So, did any particular author shape you early on, or do you have a particular
quite a
author
few,
that you
yeah.
read a lot of books to?
Oh yeah. Well, actually, what a lot of it was those authors that I would read their books and I would love their book, but I would also get like horribly discouraged because I would think, in 1,000 years I could never write anything this good. So like one of the books that really did that to me was Looking for Alaska by John Green. Well, the first time when I read Looking for Alaska, I just thought, my God, I give up. I can never be an author because this is unbelievably brilliant and I can never write anything nearly this good. And so, I love John Green.
John Green.
Yeah, Looking for Alaska. It's a YA book.
Gotcha.
He's the one that wrote The Fault in Our Stars.
Okay.
And so and then probably the author that I most try to emulate is Frederick Bachman.
Okay.
He writes multiple POVs, and he writes books. People say, what are Frederick Bachman's books about? And I say they're about the human condition. That's what they're about. Because if you take the actual plot, they're all so different that it's ridiculous. One's about a youth hockey team in a poor town in Sweden. One's about an old lady who's, I can't remember if her husband's left her or died or whatever, and she decides that she wants to get a job just to have something to do. One's about a woman who's dying, and she sends her granddaughter out to deliver all these mysterious letters to people in her life. I mean, one's about a guy who wants to commit suicide, but he's what am I trying to say? He doesn't want to be a burden to anybody, and he wants everything to be perfect. So he's trying to find a way to do it that it's not going to create a mess or whatever. And he can't figure out a way to do it. And he keeps getting interrupted by all these people. And then eventually, he ironically starts to find a reason to want to live, through it all. His books are about, they're not about like any particular one's about a bank robbery that goes wrong and ends up being a hostage situation. But what they're all really about is what it means to be human.
Gotcha.
That's really what they're about.
So if you're just now tuning in, I have Seth Goodman on line with me, and you are listening to Authors, Writers, and Wannabes. Today is March 2nd, 2026. 7:30 is the time. We've been on here about 30 minutes talking about his book, For a Lark. And it is a contemporary romantic suspense book that I think can go to film because it has me very interested and I'm like ready to see it on the TV. So Seth, I got to ask you a question. Is that your real name or is that a fake name?
It's a pseudonym. It's my pen name.
Mm-hmm. Pen name,
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so sometimes and I come across this a lot, and when I have interviewed other authors, if they have written a romance novel, they have chosen a pen name, and it's common. It's common. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go into the next question, Seth. Okay. What did your first terrible draft teach you?
It taught me to humble myself a lot and to listen to other people and to put my ego like way down because I thought I knew what I was doing. And then I was fortunate enough, I was blessed enough to have a person who was a former editor actually who took an interest in my manuscript and offered to like work on it for free, which I didn't appreciate at the time. And I like offended her so much because I would I would get upset at her suggestions and I'd kind of be like, well, how dare you say that wasn't good enough? And I was kind of a jerk. And now I look back and I'm like, man, what an idiot. Yeah. I mean, but so that's the main thing I learned from that was that,
I think that's what I learned too.
Way down.
I had to humble myself too.
Yeah,
because when I first wrote my book, now I'm not an educator whatsoever or a perfectionist in writing, or I don't claim to be an English professor.
Yeah,
but I love writing, right? And that's what the editing process is for. I love writing, and when I got some feedback, I was like, "What? I know my book is good,"
Yeah. Yeah.
So
she would take a passage and she'd be like, "This isn't going to work right here," and I'm like, what?
Right. Oh goodness. So are you a plotter, pantser, or something in between?
I am a chaotic plantser.
Okay. Describe that.
Yeah. So that's where you kind of know some of the major beats. You have a pretty good idea what the climax of the story is. You kind of have a pretty good idea how it's going to end. You don't really have any idea how they're going to get from point A to B to C to D, but you'll figure it out along the way. So and so you don't necessarily write in order. Like sometimes like a scene just comes to me and I'm like, oh, that's good. Yeah, that's going to happen in the book. And so you just write it and you don't know when or where it's going to happen, but you just know it is. And then eventually, you have all these pieces that you're trying to figure out how they fit together and then write those bridges, those in between, like how do we get from there to there?
Right. So, For a Lark is the stripper. It's a contemporary romantic suspense novel. So how many pages is it? It looks pretty thick.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty substantial. That was a panic for me for a while, and it ended up being okay. The print version comes in at looks like about 427. No, sorry, 490-ish.
That's a nice novel.
Yeah. And so I don't know if like you or if the viewers know this, but 100,000 is kind of a magic number in publishing. It's kind of taboo.
We're talking about words. We're talking about
words. Yes. It's if you're a debut novel, it's kind of taboo to go over that. There's an unwritten rule that nobody will publish a debut novel that's over 100,000 words, and just various things. There's a lot of unwritten rules that aren't true, but anyway, so when when we got into this and my structural editor was working through it, it was already a little bit long. And so I was already worried. And she kept telling me, don't worry about the word count. Just, tell the story. And there's a subplot. There's a sub romance that happens between two other people. One of the dancers, Rose, and a man that she meets. And I loved their story so much. When I first wrote the book, I had a whole like whole chapters that were Rose chapters, and some of the beta readers were a little put off. They're like, I feel like I'm reading a different book now. But I cut a lot of it back because I was like, okay. Well, my editor was like, I love the Rose and Josh stuff. Do you have any more of that? I said, oh, do I ever? Yeah, I've got so much more, but I cut it out because I didn't. She's like, I want to see it. I want it. And so I was like, well, what about the word count? She's like, don't worry about the word count. We're the publisher. We'll deal with that. You write the story. And so, yeah, it was awesome.
Well, my book is only like 180 something pages. Man, I feel bad.
Yeah, I think we came in right around 109, 108,000 words or something with the final version of the book. So,
yeah. So those 3 chapters that I had to rewrite, like, I didn't know exactly what I had written down previously. So, I had to rewrite them. But I rewrote that book. I started writing my memoir in 2018, 2019. And I rewrote that book probably 5 times because I had a lot of stuff in there that I was like, ooh, do I want the world to know this? Ooh, do I want my kids to know this? Ooh, what will my kids think of me? Ooh, So it's a lot of stuff that I omitted out of my memoir. But I'm currently working on 2 other books right now. One is a youth book, ages 9 through 12, and I'm adopted. I don't know. I didn't tell you that, did I?
No.
When we talked yesterday. Yeah. So do you even know my story?
Not really. No.
Okay. So
I've
I'm
been to your
adopted.
website and that, but I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm adopted, and I'm writing a book called The Boy Who Found a Home. And this book is for ages 9 through 12. And he was in foster care, and he finally found an adopted family.
No, very cool.
And the other book is a romance novel. So I think I'm gonna do a novella on that, a short one on that one. I don't think that's gonna be long, but yeah. So those are 2 books I'm working on now. And a little bit about my background is I was adopted at birth. I was born in Oklahoma, Ada, Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
And
I used to live in Kansas and Missouri, so yeah, I know that area.
Yeah. So I found my birth mother when I was around 21, 22. And then I found my birth father doing Ancestry in 2018.
Sorry, my cat keeps rubbing her face in that sentence, moving the camera.
Have you ever heard of the book called The Innocent Man by John Grisham?
No, I've heard of John Grisham, but I don't know that one.
It's his first nonfiction book called The Innocent Man. Netflix released a documentary called The Innocent Man, and The Innocent Man is my father.
Are you serious?
My birth father. Yeah.
What?
A white man who served on death row almost 12 years for a crime he didn't commit, and he was exonerated 5 days before his execution date.
Okay, no, I had no idea.
Yeah, I decided to write my book, and I was going to name it something else, but when I found out he was my father, I changed the name of it. So I wrote my book and named it The Daughter of the Innocent Man.
Oh.
So there's mine.
Oh, man. Wow. That's something else. Okay. Yeah. Well, we got to swap then.
Well, I know. I'll mail you out one, and you're going to mail me one.
We'll do that.
Normally, I ask the authors who come on here or my guests to mail me out a book, but since this show was like all over the place, and I couldn't.
Yeah. No, it's all right. No, I fully am on board with that, and would do that anyway. Yeah. Sort of surprised you didn't.
Yeah. What did you say?
But this happened kind of quickly, so yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it did. But it came together good, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it's working.
Yeah.
We'll see what the viewers think.
Yeah, right. So how did you handle days when the words wouldn't come out? So did you ever get writer's block?
Oh, all the time, yeah. I mean, not in Fur Lark, I didn't. Like I said, Fur Lark was my Athena. It sprung fully formed out of my head. And then, so silly me, I thought, oh, now I know how to write a book. Now I know how to do this. wow, yeah, like Hermione Granger once said, what an idiot. Because then I went to write my next, work in progress, and it took me, whereas for a lark, my actual first draft of For a Lark took me 3 months. 3 years later, I was trying to finish like my next manuscript.
Okay,
Um,
so let's talk
I mean,
about
I
that.
could
So,
not just, I was like, what's a sentence? I mean, yeah, how do
yeah.
you, like, I don't know how to write a book. What?
So
It
have
was
you
like it
finished
all just,
this?
yeah, I have. That was the manuscript that actually got me my agent. So when I started querying that one, then I got an agent. So that one's on sub right now. It's in the hands of a number of different publishers. Not We haven't had an offer or
Okay.
anything. And then I'm working on so that one's a rom com. It's it's not as serious as For a Lark. For a Lark has a lot of gritty, a lot of make you cry, a lot of tough. I say it'll leave you cheering. I mean,
Yeah.
because Lark story is a powerful story, but
Yeah.
there's you're gonna have to go through some ugly stuff to get there. Whereas the rom com, it's just more fun. I mean, it deals with I'm not a person who's going to shy away from societal issues or anything. So it's got some stuff in there. All my books are pretty much going to deal with either racism or sexual assault or economic inequality or just the crap in this world because that's important to me. But it's a lot lighter. It's two teachers at a fictional high school that it's a hate to love. It's not really enemies, but they can't stand each other at first, but they're going to be forced to work together, and of course they're going to fall in love eventually.
Now,
And then
where did you get this story from? How
I
did you
don't
get to
know.
that story?
I've been in public education as my day job for a long time. My wife is a science teacher, so schools have been a big part of our life. So the idea of writing a book that's set in a school was kind of second nature for me. I don't know where I got this idea specifically, but the main character, he's just kind of a freewheeling English teacher who's really into like the quirkiness of the English language. That I don't know if you realize, but the English language is jacked up. I mean, it's like compared to other languages, English makes no sense. It's insane. And so he just embraces all that. He embraces all the nuttiness of this,
Yeah.
though it's actually called English. Um, and she's like this really like strict kind of tough as nails, not playing around, kind of science teacher, and he's this just sort of anything goes, just live in the moment. And so they end up being forced to be on the field trip committee together, and they have to plan the field trip and all that. And so there's all these mishaps that occur and everything. So it's fun.
Now, when you got writer's block writing this manuscript,
Yeah.
how did you overcome that? What are some things that you did to get past that?
Sometimes it was just taking some time away from it and just spending some time reading, and intentionally reading, not just reading, but saying, I need to read some things that will inspire me, and I need to read some things by good writers. Where rather than just reading the story, I'm really looking at their craft, and I'm really looking at how did they tell this story, how did they make me feel the things that I'm feeling, and how can I
Yeah.
incorporate some of that into my writing. Some of it was just, like I said, taking little bits and pieces. Like I might not know what to do right now, but there is something that I know that's going to be part of this story. So let me at least write that so that I have something, some of those little, fill in some of those little chunks and those little pieces. And then sometimes it was just a matter of like, I know it's going to sound kind of weird, but putting myself in the story and just, going
Ah,
back and reading some of what's happened and saying, okay, you're there. This is where you're at. This is what we're looking at. What would I do? What's going to happen next? How would you respond to that? And then just kind of just letting the inspiration just say,
letting it
okay, I
flow.
wasn't really planning this, but
Yeah.
this is what I'm feeling right now. And that's part of that chaotic planter, because sometimes, you don't end up writing what you thought you were going to write, but then you're like, yeah, but that feels more like what a person would actually do and say in this situation. And, that really could lead to this. And so,
So
I don't
I
know.
got a question for you. So since you're in education, do you think that allowed you to be a better author? If I'm wording that correctly?
Not really. No,
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 no, I don't. I don't think the two are related at all.
no.
First of all, I'm not an English teacher, and my job has nothing to do with like
Okay.
books or writing or any of that. I don't think I could be an English teacher. I think I'd be bored out of my mind, and it would drive me crazy.
Really? Ugh.
Yeah, yeah, and I hate to say this, and I'm sorry if I'm offending any English teachers. I'm sorry because, but here's the thing: as a kid, I loved reading. I mean, my mother would take us to the bookmobile every Wednesday, and I would come home with an armload of books, and I loved books and I loved reading. But by the time I graduated from high school, I actually was put off reading for years. I don't think I read a book in I don't know how many years because all that stuff they forced us to read in high school that I hated, and all that grammar crap and everything. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm a professional author, but I don't have any idea what a gerund phrase is, and I don't know what any of that stuff means, and I
Yeah.
honestly don't care. I don't want to get a degree in all that. I just want to tell good stories that make people feel and that.
Yeah. So you traditionally published for a lark, and you are
Mhm.
now currently looking for or have submitted your book to traditional publishing companies.
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
and you and I talked about this yesterday. You like going that route. You would prefer a traditional publisher over being self-published, correct?
Oh, definitely, definitely, yes.
Okay, and,
Mhm.
and tell us why.
This is where I always tread carefully because I never want to offend people who are self-published. Um, and so, in no way am I trying to say it's a superiority thing or any of that, because that is out there. That is out there
Yeah,
that, well,
yeah,
you weren't good enough to get traditionally published, so that's why you're self-published. And I'm not. I never say that. On the other hand, I do feel like self-publishing has opened up a glut of just anything goes, and that's
yeah,
not really good either. It's kind of like I don't know if people relate to golf at all, but it's like one of the things they say about public golf courses. The great thing about public golf courses is that anybody can play. The bad thing about public golf courses is anybody can play,
yeah.
and so it's kind of the same thing with self-publishing. So I feel like
Anybody can publish. Sure.
yeah, if I've written something that I've put my heart, my soul, and my best effort, and I've spent months or years or whatever on, I feel like I need to put it out there to the professionals and say, here's my work.
Yeah,
And if they accept it and say, yeah, that's good work, and we think that can sell, and we want to publish this, I feel like that's just, for me, that's the route I want to go. I don't want to
yeah,
say, well, I don't really know if this is good or not, and nobody really seemed interested in it, but I wrote it, so by God, I'm going to put it out there. Because
yeah,
there are people who do that. They write, they don't work on their craft, they don't like actually develop their skills as a writer. They don't want to go through the rejections in that, and so they're like, well, I'll just put it on Amazon. But I have friends they put me to shame. I have friends who are self-published they're 3 times the writer that I am. I mean, I could only dream of ever writing anything as good as what some of them have written. And they're self-published by choice because they're just like, I don't want to deal with all that. I don't want to
yeah,
spend years waiting for my book to come out. I want it out now. So I'm going to publish
yeah.
it myself. And so, but just
I,
for me, it's
I,
just
I rushed. I rushed with
not
my
my path.
memoir. Like as soon as I got it done as soon as I, finished writing it and had it edited, I was in a rush to get it, released.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was in a
yeah.
rush to get it published. And I wish I hadn't. I wish I had gone the traditional publishing route. And I was talking to some people, and it was like, it's not too late, but it is harder to get traditionally published after you have come out with a self-published book.
It is,
But
but that
I think with my story of this memoir, and I don't think that it would be too hard.
no, I don't think so
Because
either, and,
what
and that's
what I
changing.
did, I went into Barnes and Noble. I showed this book to the manager, and then I showed my book to the
Uh-huh.
manager.
Yeah, yeah.
And I told him, I said, yeah. He was like, I said, I want my book in Barnes and Noble. He went to the kiosk and he ordered 5 of my books right then and there.
Oh, very nice. Yeah,
So it
yeah,
was easy to get in Barnes and Noble because,
yeah,
of my story.
yeah.
But I did submit
That's
to,
the balance is changing. There was a time when self-published was pretty much completely rejected by retailers and all that as like, lower quality.
yeah,
But more and more indie bookstores are seeing the value in that. More and more people are realizing that there's this glut of Colleen Hoover books that are all the same, and that maybe it's not like the greatest thing in the world, and that everything coming out that just fits the cookie cutter is getting boring. And so, there's a lot of people that are starting to recognize that there's a lot of really talented writers that are writing stuff
yeah.
that just doesn't
It
fit
doesn't
what
make it. Yeah,
publishing says. It's like
right.
if you want to write a hit song, 2 verses, then a chorus, say the title twice, have a bridge, and you got a hit song, and it's like, okay, where's the creativity in that?
Right, right, right. Guys, I do have some authors, writers, and wannabes tumblers, some black tumblers with the logo on there. I do have T-shirts and I do have journals and totes. So you can go to my website if you want to order one of those. It is www.noeltheauthor.com. You can also get my books on there. I do have a healing journal. I recently went through a separation, so I wrote this healing journal to help myself heal, and it has helped many others heal that has gone through a divorce, a separation. Yeah, if you have ordered that journal, I will send out an autographed copy of my book called The Daughter of the Innocent Man if you want to order that on my website. Again, it's noeltheauthor.com. And we are currently talking with Mr. Seth Goodman. He is a published author, and he has a book out called For a Lark, and he also has another book, his second book out, that he is trying to get traditionally published currently. So that is who we are on the line with. If you have any questions and you're watching us on Facebook Live, go ahead and send us a message and we'll try to answer that if you want to send him a question or anything. So would you say that you're successful in this For a Lark, Seth?
I think the jury's still out on that. I mean, on the one hand, when you look at the statistics, there's the argument that can be made that every single book that actually gets published is a miracle in a sense, because the odds are so stacked against you. So on that hand, yeah, obviously I'm very successful in that.
Yeah.
I was accepted for publication. On the other hand, when I look at the fact that my books, it's a small time book that a lot of people haven't heard of and hasn't sold a huge amount of copies, then I'm like, yeah, I'd like to be doing better. So
yeah. Now, have you done any book signings and author events?
Just barely. I've only done a couple. I'm starting to have a kind of a busy spring. I actually have quite a few coming up now. I did one with a group here in the area where I live that was pretty cool. That was my first ever, and it was an adult book fair, and that was neat. That was a good experience. I learned a lot. I sold a handful of books. I think I sold about 13 or 14 books. So I felt okay about that.
Good. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, especially considering a lot of them were to total strangers. It wasn't to friends and family.
Yeah, right,
So,
right.
and then I've got one coming up this Saturday. I have another one the following Saturday. I have one in April, one in May. So yeah, it's starting to, and those I've actually done some research, and a lot of people say when you're first starting out that that's actually the most effective way is to get yourself in front of people, actually talk to people face to face. And so, trying to work on that.
And you're not afraid to talk, are you?
No, I'm not. You can probably gather. And I have got a couple of stores are carrying my books, a couple of local stores. We have a second in Charles in Greenville, South Carolina that stocks it, and a couple of small retailers. And so that's super cool because, you're scared to death to go in there and be like, hey, I'm an author. I wrote this book. And you're thinking they're going to be like, but there's some stores have been really great and some are not really interested. So
yeah.
It's
now does your agent or the publishing company have to set you up with these events, or can you do them yourself?
Oh no, I can do them myself. They're very supportive, and they provide me like artwork and banners, and my publisher like sends me all that. But yeah, I'm able to. In fact, they encourage me to anything that I can grab a hold of.
Okay,
especially
that's
again,
good.
they're in Mumbai. And so in India, they could set me up with all kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
since I'm in the United States, that
Well,
doesn't
they
work.
just got to
So
fly you to India.
yeah, right. Yeah. And if they have
Now,
that big budget,
is your book in some of the Indian stores? Indian
not yet,
bookstores?
but it's not yet. That's the plan. The plan is to do a print run and all that. I'm not sure why they've delayed. That's been something that's been a bit of a confusion to me. Their explanation they gave makes sense, I guess. They said that if books start in India, it's really hard then to get them like into the United States and the UK because people see them as, oh, that's a book from India. Whereas they say if they start in the United States and the UK and that, then they can get into India better, and because then they're like, oh, that's an American author. So that's what they've told me.
Okay.
So I just have to go with it.
Yeah. My actually a couple of months, my book has done well, and I looked at my Amazon report because I have it on Amazon
Mhm,
too, Ingram and
mhm.
a few bookstores.
Yeah,
But United Kingdom is liking my book, I guess. Because
cool.
last
Yeah.
month it was, yeah, last month I think United Kingdom was the country that ordered the most.
Oh wow, more than the US. Oh, that's awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I think I checked it a few months ago and it was United Kingdom too. I was like,
Yeah. Very
okay.
good. Very
Maybe I
good.
should go up to United Kingdom.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, go
Do
over there and
a
do a
book
little.
tour.
Go to Waterstones. That's their like the equivalent of Barnes and Noble. Is
Yeah,
Waterstones. That's their big chain of bookstores over there.
Waterstone.
Yeah,
It's crazy
Waterstones.
because a lot of authors that I have on my podcast, I learn a lot from.
Mhm.
Like I meant to take a note earlier on what you said. You said you have a lot of indie publishers. I want you to send me that list if you
Okay.
would.
Yeah.
And you said Waterstone in the UK.
Hmm.
Yeah. Are they gonna is the publisher trying to like have it in their language, the book? Or is it still
I
in
don't
English?
think so. I don't think so. Actually, what a lot of people don't realize is like everybody in India speaks English.
Oh,
That they were ruled by the Brits for so long that everybody was made to speak English, and so even now, yeah, I have a lot of dear friends that are from India and that, and yeah, I was talking to one of them one time, and she just kind of laughed. She said, "Everybody speaks English in India." I was like, "They do," and she's like, "Well, yeah,
okay.
we have to, or we had to," and so it's not a big deal.
Yeah. My hubby works with a lot of Indians. His company is out of India, and I
Mhm.
listen to him on when we're together. I listen to him on the his calls, and I'm like, I can't understand them. I love their accent, but I get so heavy I can't understand them. And
Oh yeah,
he understands every word they're saying. I'm like,
yeah. I
oh
guess I'm
God,
used to it, but yeah, yeah. So I mean,
yeah,
that's when they first said, well, okay, when it first comes out, it's going to be in India, and I just thought at first I was like kind of disappointed, but then I was like, okay, but there's 1 billion people in India. That's like three
heck
times as
yeah,
many people as there are in the United
yeah,
States. So if they can put that. So yeah,
yeah,
if they can get that out in front of all those people, then yeah,
right.
that's not a big deal.
So did anything surprise you while you wrote either of these books?
Did anything surprise me?
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of things surprised me. Um, I mean, not so much in the writing process, but with the whole publishing. That I guess the thing that surprised me the most is how much silence there is for like so long. That you
yeah.
go through months of silence, just nothing. You don't hear a word from anybody, from your
Yeah.
agent, from your
That
publisher,
would drive
from
me crazy.
anybody. Yeah, it is. You wonder if you're losing your mind sometimes. You really
Yeah.
wonder, like,
That's
did
kind of
I
like a
even
lawsuit. I had a lawsuit. I
am
was
I
suing
even an
somebody.
author or did I make this up?
Yeah. That's kind of like a lawsuit because I sued somebody because they hit me. A drunk driver hit me and totaled my car. I mean, in the lawsuit, it was so it dragged out for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And, the attorney's not calling me, emailing me. And I'm like, okay, what is the status? What is the update? And
Mhm.
that downtime, that zero communication, I'm like, we need a status
Yep.
update every month.
Yep. Yeah. And I've had to
You know?
reach out to my publishers before and said, hey, I just not trying to be that guy, but I need to hear something at least every now and
Right.
then because, yeah.
Right. Now, had you already signed with them and then you were waiting, a long time to hear back
Mhm,
for something?
mhm.
Or were
Yeah,
you
yeah.
waiting a long time for them to come out and say, hey, I will acquire your book?
No, really, that happened really fast. That was what was so crazy. From the time of the pitch event, and they requested the chapters, and then requested the full, and then and then set up the call. That all happened pretty quickly, and then they were like, "Okay, well, we'll assign you, an editor and stuff, and and then they'll let you know." And then just nothing for like months, and you're like, so is this editor working? Am I just, and so finally I would reach out to him and I'd say, hey, just checking in, everything okay? Yeah, yeah, everything's fine. And I'd be like, okay. And then, finally, then all of a sudden you get an editorial letter and it's like, okay, here's all the things that we want to do. And you're like, oh, okay. And so you work on that and you make edits and you make changes and you send it back in and then you just don't hear anything for like 3 months. And you're like, hello. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what surprised me the most was just how long everything takes and how there's just so much
Yeah.
just silence for so long.
I'm
And
sure
that's just
they're
not,
I'm sure they're inundated with, queries and submissions,
yeah.
you know?
And also they're a small house. So I mean, I think literally at the Bombay Circle Press, I think they literally have like, I don't know, 10 or 12 employees. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
small press. It's like,
Yeah.
they have like one graphic designer and it's
One
not like you
editor.
have this huge room of all these people. And so they've got
Right.
multiple manuscripts they're working on. I get it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I want to know what's going on kind of person.
Right. Now, is there anything that you wish that you had done differently in this? I guess let's say what process. Let's start with the writing process and then with the publishing process. What is there anything that you would have done differently?
Okay. The writing process went pretty smooth. I think there's not a lot I could have changed as far as for with Lark. Now
Hmm.
with English, with my second manuscript, I could have been more disciplined. I could have been more diligent. I could have forced myself to put my butt in that chair and knock out words, and maybe I should have done that, and it maybe wouldn't have taken so long, and maybe I wouldn't have had as much writer's block. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a person who I struggle to multitask, and so because of the fact that I have a day job, I have a home, and and things to take care of, it's hard for me to just be like, no, I need to sit down and write when there's all
Yeah.
these things that I feel like need my attention. So I definitely, that's an area that I struggle with. As far as with the publishing, I don't know, maybe I should be more, maybe advocate for myself more, maybe be more, but I felt like I never want to be that guy that like, is too pushy and they
Yeah.
decide, okay, he's a hassle to work with. He's not, he's too egotistical or whatever. And so I try
Yeah.
to just defer to, okay, you guys know what's best.
All right. So we got to wrap this up. I'm going to ask you one fun question.
All
Are you a
right.
night writer or a morning writer?
Tend to be a night writer. Mornings are not good for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I
I'm,
used
I'm
to
a two. Yeah. I'm a 1
during
a.m.
prologue, I
to
would
3 a.m. writer.
yeah, I had a lot of that. I would go into my den and I'd tell my wife, okay, I'm gonna go write, and then time would just get away from me. And when I finally came out, like the whole house was dark and I had no idea what time it was, and she'd long gone to bed, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I was in there longer than I thought.
Guess I got to go to bed with the wife.
Yeah.
All right. So if you have been listening to us, we really do appreciate it. This is Seth Goodman, author of For a Lark. That's FORA Lark. And you can find, do you have a website?
I do.
Where would they find
It's
your book?
Yeah, they can find my book if you go to my website, it's sethgoodmanauthor.com. And then there's a purchase link there. Or if you go to Amazon in the United States, it's mostly available on Amazon unless you live in upstate South Carolina. So just go to Amazon, search For a Lark by Seth Goodman. And you can get it in Kindle version or paperback. It's
Have you thought
$13.99 for
about doing it in
paperback.
audio?
I would like to, but at this point, my publisher's not doing that. But I would love to have an audiobook. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So what if you wanted to do it yourself? You wouldn't be allowed to since you have a
I don't think
publisher.
contractually, I
Yeah.
don't think I'd be allowed to, but yeah, I would love to if that becomes
Yeah.
an option.
I've got mine on Spotify. Yeah.
Yeah, I know people who are dyslexic who don't read a book, but they like to listen to them, and I'd love to
Yeah.
be able to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
A lot of I just put mine on spot. I released my book, my memoir. I got to wrap this up. It's 2 after. I released my memoir March of 20. What is this? 20, shoot, 25? No, 24. March of 24. Yeah, it's all yeah, March of 24.
2 years in, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But I just put it on Spotify probably maybe 6, 7 months, 8 months ago.
Okay.
And I don't know what took me so long.
Mhm.
But I did a clone voice of mine. I did a clone
Okay, so you
voice.
read it yourself. That's what I was going to ask you, if you
It was
hired a reader.
well, what I did was I did a clone voice, so it's not my actual voice. It kind of sounds like me.
Okay.
I did it. I did it through. Gosh, I can't even think. But it's on Spotify. In audio. That's what I use is in audio to do it.
All right.
And you can clone your voice, and it sounds a little bit like me. Now the people that know me it was like, yeah, that's not you. And I'm like, okay, does it sound like me? Yeah, a little bit, but we can tell it's not you. Well, I'm like, well, people that don't know me don't know it's not me, right?
Yeah. Right.
But I kind of wanted it to tell this story because it's my story, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's why I did the clone voice. Oh, it sounds good to me. It was good enough for me. Maybe I'll go back and do, a real one of my voice, the whole book, of my authentic voice. But yeah, you can get my book on Spotify. It's on Kindle. It's on paperback and hardcover. All right. Thank you, Mr. Seth. We do appreciate it. Next week, we are talking about traditional versus self-publishing. So join us next Monday, 7 p.m. live on my Facebook. That is Noelle Daniels. You can find us every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time live, or you can listen to us on all of the platforms, Google Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Apple, and all of the other ones. I think we are Roku Live too on Monday nights. So yeah, just check us out. It's called Authors, Writers, and Wannabes. Appreciate it, Seth. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Good night.